for December the 6th, 2019. We talk about Deathmark, Assassin's Creed III Remastered, and we ask you about twists and reveals in games. Welcome to Level 307. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Jala Prendes.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games back from Thanksgiving. Thank you for understanding our little break. Yeah, in the pre-roll there in the green room, we talked about our Thanksgivings. I had a good one. I think we all had chill ones.
Yeah.
If I can speak for the assembled group.
That's the nice thing about the holidays. The point is relaxation.
Yes.
Well, for a lot of people, it's not relaxing. So right. I am happy that I am one of the people that gets to relax. Mm-hmm. And I really was just like, I didn't cook. I ordered tamales because this is Texas. And that is like, I could even get my dessert in a tamale form. So like it was a pumpkin cream cheese tamale that I could eat as well, and we had tamales and it was great.
It was a whole meal wrapped in leaves.
Indeed. Very, very fitting for me and my dietary choices. So.
Very cool. Jala, it's been a little bit.
It has. It's been a month, my dude.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Dude, so I've been unlike Dennis, who gets locked in the cistern, which right now he's actually been shipped to Mexico. Yeah. But usually he's in the cistern. For me, I was just off having adventures and stuff. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of some of the things I've been doing in the last month. And people who don't follow me on social networks should, because I post pictures of everything I go do. So I joined a new rucking club, Seabrook, which is in Seabrook, Texas. So it's punny. And I participated in a ruck club call out from Go Ruck called Zero Dark 30, where it all had to be done at night. So we rucked to a bar and then back. And a friend lost her glasses, so a few of us got extra miles looking for them, which was just so great. We're also going to be doing a charity ruck this Saturday morning. So long as I'm feeling okay, I will be going to drop donations for a foster home. So to keep it running, not like toy donations, but like stuff to help them, continue to foster children.
Yeah.
I also went to Vegandale, which is, of course, a plant-based food festival, and had vegan Cuban food with a friend of mine from Belly Dance. And then I went to Via Colori, which is a street art festival where people do chalk drawings and stuff on the sidewalks, and that was pretty bomb. I didn't post the highlight photos to Instagram. They were all on my story. So, like, if you didn't catch them that day, I did put an album on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook, I do have an album for that there. But anyway, I might go back maybe and put some highlights on Instagram just for people who are curious. Anyway, I also went to Old Town Spring's Holiday Festival, Old Town Spring being like one of the first places in this vicinity that had a railroad go through it. So it's like ancient part of this area, And this last weekend, I went to the Death by Natural Causes exhibit at the Science Museum and apparently caught flu germs yesterday or like the day before because I was bedridden and fevered and had chills all day. But because I had my flu shot a month ago, I was able to break through and recover. So I'm tired today. And my stomach's a little bit upset because I haven't really eaten solid food for the last couple of days, but I'm obviously not doing too bad. A few people were like, you went to the Death by Natural Causes exhibit and then you got sick.
There's a poetry to the universe.
Yeah, there is for sure. But also there's a lot of fucking little kids there. Kids are just giant vectors for germs. So, But yeah, and then sometime this week I'm going to be going to see Terminator Dark Fate, which I haven't seen yet, but I absolutely have to go see in theaters before it's out of theaters, and it's out of theaters this week, so I'm going to go see that. And then I'm also going to a kabuki art class and exhibit at the Asia Society Texas Center, where you can paint your face like a kabuki actor and go see a bunch of stuff from like kabuki theater and be educated about being a kabuki actor and everything like that. So I will be doing that. And of course, photos and videos and all of that other wonderful fun stuff will be on all my usual social media. So Facebook gets the full albums of the photos. Instagram gets the highlights of the photos, and Twitter gets reposts from Instagram. And of course, my commentary about games and other random stuff. So probably, unless you like the full story, the best places to check out my stuff is Twitter and Instagram. So anyway, that's what I've been up to in the last month.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're extremely busy, but that is the usual month of Jala activities, just condensed into yeah. And the thing is that like I have for a very long time, with all of the struggles that I've had with my parents being in and out of the hospital and having a lot of health issues, and like me coming to grips with being their caretaker, I've basically been doing nothing but endurance events as my therapy, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's great and all, except part of me just hasn't been active for a while. The part that used to do lots of belly dancing and would go make art a lot, I just kind of stopped doing a lot of that, and I stopped going out on the adventures on the weekends that I used to do. Yeah. So I'm trying to like bring all that back in and just kind of take a break for a minute before I go back, because I'm not going to stop the endurance events. It's just that I'm taking a break and trying to revive part of me that's just kind of been dormant for a little bit. Yeah. So there's probably going to be more adventures for, the rest of this year, and then probably beginning of next year I'll get back into it seriously. But not bad. I mean, you're still training more than 97% of people. So,
Yeah.
I also like the idea of the meta endurance of how long you can do endurance events.
You mentioned, just being around kids, they're vectors for disease. Had an idea, like just a premise for a story. Like there's a global worldwide pandemic, and the only people who survive are kindergarten and first grade teachers.
Yeah.
So it's like Fox's show Kid Nation, where they drink pain and die then?
What?
It was the one reality TV show where they've had the kids make their own camp or whatever and run it themselves.
Okay.
And then a kid drank paint. They had to like send them to a house.
That's really fucked up.
Wow.
And who knows how much of it is true, since it's reality television.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But what producer thought that up, and why aren't they in jail?
I thought it was Fox, but it could be CBS or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's cool, Jala. It's good having you back.
Yeah, I'm back for a little bit from my various adventures, and I have no idea how many more adventures Dennis is going to go into before he gets back. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see who's on next week.
Yeah. Ben, I'm going to throw to you.
Yeah, I think my only dose of irony over the past week was, so I went for Thanksgiving, I went to visit some old coworkers and friends in Las Vegas, and it rained while I was there. It only rains like once or twice a year, and it's been rainy here like the past 2 or 3 weeks in Seattle, so I was very sad about that irony.
Did they exile you because you brought the rain with you?
That was the conclusion, that it was my fault. So.
My other question was going to be, how many people blamed you for it? Like as a joke, but kind of seriously?
Not double digits, but we'll say closer to 10 than 0.
Huh. So. CBS defended the production's conduct as both legal and ethical, including the response to minor injuries on the set. Sorry.
Cole's reading the link to Kid Nation now.
I had no idea what this was.
Yeah.
But you had a good time in Vegas.
I did. Did
you play any board games while you were out there, or was it more just kind of catching up?
Yeah, the new game that I played was a game called Feast for Odin, which is like a Viking themed game that's like very intimidating because it's like 32 different resources and like probably about the same number of actions you can do, a worker placement game. But it ended up kind of being simplified once you play it, and it was really fun. And then we also got people to play 6-player Cthulhu Wars, which is a really hard game to table sometimes. It's also a very like needlessly expensive game because it has like really detailed figures. So the last time I was able to play this game was at Gen Con like a year and a half ago. So I was really excited to play that, and that was fun.
Even though I got...
Oh, sorry. What?
The Vikings are intimidating? Never.
You
said the Viking game was intimidating.
It is. So. It's there's a lot of things you can do.
It sounds like there's a lot. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices, and so it's easy to get scared by that, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a Viking festival in Texas now, and I might have to see if I don't know if I can fit it into my winter schedule because I got a lot of stuff going on, but it's only going to be not this coming weekend, but the 14th and 15th and the 21st and 22nd. And I got stuff going on. So I'm not sure if I can make it out, but I hope I can.
Can you row a longboat?
I'm sure I probably can.
Do they warn the local monasteries?
Right, they should. And those figures are awesome, by the way. Those look like they are expensive.
Oh, the Cthulhu War figures that Ben just put in? Yeah. Neat. I don't necessarily have an awful lot going on, honestly. It was just it was just the the holiday, Thanksgiving. I've mostly been trying to do like organization around the house, so it's a bunch of boring ass stuff. I could talk about how I bought some more Sterilite bins, and I got up on a ladder and I cleaned my rain gutters.
Well, you could also talk about Greta. Everybody likes hearing about that.
Yeah, but she's just sitting there being gray. She tried to eat my turkey sandwich today.
Absolutely, with like the sinister claws like coming out to yoink that turkey right out of your sandwich.
Yeah, no, she was going for it. But no, like I've been it's so one whole bedroom in my house has been basically off limits because when my parents moved recently, they said, hey Kole, all this stuff that we've been keeping from like basically the day you were born until today, all of it's yours now. Like we don't have room or time for this shit. So just like I've had one, like my guest bedroom has been basically completely overrun by like just things, like basically every school paper they ever saved, every toy I ever had, every McDonald's toy I ever got, every action figure and things like that. And so I've been slowly going through stuff like with the aim to get rid of it, but like taking pictures of things. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the pictures, but I have them. So yeah, who knows?
They're passing the sentimentality on to you,
I suppose. Yeah, just I didn't realize what they hoarded. Like I definitely had the experience of going through some of my things and finding just a bag of teeth that they kept.
Wait, your teeth or someone else's teeth?
Yes, my teeth.
First fight.
like baby teeth and like wisdom. Like, they kept my wisdom teeth and they had like chunks of stuff.
Wait, how many wisdoms do you have? Not in your mouth.
no, I had all four of them taken out. Jala?
Okay. Haven't we discussed how weird it is that people keep teeth?
I think we have. We've been doing the show for a very long time.
A very long time. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. No, but I found them and I was like, Mom, like, why are these not in a safe? Like, any witch could just get a hold of these and just ruin me. So, you know. But yeah, I've been going through that stuff and basically deciding what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to throw away. So the thing is, just a shameful.
Are you going to bury the teeth in the yard? Are you going to bury the teeth in the yard somewhere and see if something grows? I'm
not going to tell you. I'm not going to. I would tell you, Jala, but I would not air it publicly. The whereabouts of the teeth, or even if they still exist.
Yeah.
This
is true.
Wait for the post roll. Yeah.
Cast them into the fire.
Yeah. But I'm looking at all this stuff and it's like, man, they held on to so much stuff thinking one day it would be worth something. Like not so much like not my teeth or not like my, first grade, like spelling tests or whatever, but like, McDonald's toys, a whole big tote of these. None of them were ever thrown away. 2 kids worth of, several years of bad fast food meals. And they got them and they're like, oh, we're going to hold on to them because like you can sell these for money someday, which is like the most boomer thing. Yeah. Like, oh, this will be worth something someday. Hold on to them. And I'm like looking through, I'm like, hey, like a lot of these we made into bath toys and they weren't bath toys. And the paint is like, people want these in bags and stuff. They're worthless, but it's like, oh, you're going to try and sell them, aren't you? Like, Mom, you're signing me up for a full-time job trying to sell these.
Right?
Like just your childhood. Yeah, like take the pictures and move on, but Yeah, but
I've got not be worth much, but the sentimental value is off the charts.
What's that from? What am I thinking of?
Simpsons.
Okay, yes.
Everything's from the Simpsons.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is sentimental value. Yeah, so I've been going through those. I'm more excited. What I did was I got like a photo box. If you do like a Google search for photo box, it's like a way that people take pictures of stuff for like eBay listings to get like a perfectly white background. It's like a box that you put it in, and you've got lights that you set outside of it. And I've been taking pictures of those just because I want to have good pictures of them. I'm most of the way through the McDonald's toys. I'm most excited to get to the action figures because that's where all my turtles are. That's where all my turtles are. My Crash Test Dummies, my Power Rangers. Yeah, the He-Man toys.
Like, we moved so much when I was little that like I'm surprised my parents have photo albums even. Yeah. They don't have anything from when I was little. So like that's part of the reason. Now that's actually that, and my grandmother had Alzheimer's. And so between those two things, that's part of the reason why I am so fanatic about sharing photos of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Is because I didn't have any documentation of stuff when I was little. I don't have any. And then like we moved so much that I don't actually remember a lot of things. So when we moved to an area in Houston that we used to live in, and, you know, after a few years had passed, all these people remembered me and I had no idea who they were or what they were talking about because I didn't have any recollection whatsoever. So I document everything fanatically now as a result of that, and then dealing with my grandmother who had Alzheimer's until she passed. So
it makes sense. You know, like I'm talking.
But like as a result though, I don't have to go through totes and totes full of stuff from my childhood because I have nothing.
Yeah. Well, you know, so it's, you know, it's weird because my family lived, so the house that they moved out of, just earlier this year, basically our entire family had lived there since 1995. So a good 24 years of just stuff getting compacted further and further back into closets. And so when it all comes out and is just vomited into another house, it's like, wow, like this was all like stratified down there in the basement in these Rubbermaid totes. So I don't know. I'm documenting it. It's it's a decluttering tactic. Yeah, you don't like the thing, you like the memory of the thing. You can take the picture, save the ones that are really important, and then just get rid of it and convince your parents that no, you're not gonna like this is not going to send my non-existent children. This is not going to send your non-existent grandchildren to college. It's
Beanie Babies are not coming back.
Yeah. This was a flawed investment strategy. Oh, so yeah, that's what's going on. Nothing too exciting, just dealing with shit.
Well, I don't know, like, some of that is kind of interesting stuff, really. I mean, like, you're going to have teeth trees coming out of the backyard soon. And I mean, you know,
grow a cold doppelganger soon with your teeth.
That's
and then after that, you're gonna hang some McDonald's toys on it like a Christmas tree, and you know, I mean.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do with those?
Be a grand old time. Tooth tree. Anyway, I feel like I went on for too long for that. How do you guys feel about getting started with the regular kind of show?
Let's do the regular kind of show.
With the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And we can get started with, let's just say, maybe... The grind, where we talk about things that we've been playing over the past period of time or so. Jala, what you bring for us?
Okay, well, I finished Danganronpa 3, but I'm not talking about that here because that's got enough vitriol that it needs to be its own episode entirely.
Yeah,
the listeners really want to hear like details about my thoughts.
Yeah, so programming note on that. I need to go back and reread like a synopsis of Danganronpa V3. because I would be functionally useless. Jala and I are going to hop on at some point after you're recovered and after I'm read up to do like record like a Duckfeed Presents about Danganronpa V3 while this is still fresh and while Jala is still pissed off about it.
So that'll be a thing.
Do I need to say that I didn't tell you to play that game?
No, because I'm well aware that you did not. You told me specifically not to play that game, but I played it anyway.
Yeah.
And, I have to say, only one thing that I will say about it is that it was definitely an interesting experience that I don't know if I regret much of it. There are little bits of it that I do not regret. So we'll talk more about that later. So in the meantime, I will bring to this show Agent A Puzzle in Disguise. I mentioned this game quite a while back. It felt like it was just last year or something, but no, I looked it up and it was 2 years ago in 2017 I played this game. Time has no meaning. I don't have any recollection. Anyway, this game is a puzzle adventure game where you play essentially spy versus spy. As Agent A, you are infiltrating the hideout of an enemy agent called Ruby LaRouge, who is like killing off the other agents in your organization. And it's compared to the Room games insofar as how they act mechanically. So if you enjoy those, you may enjoy this as well. The art is really clean and colorful and has this really strong 60s aesthetic to it. Yeah. Basically, the game was released in chapters. There are 5 chapters total, and chapter 5 only recently came out like a couple of months ago. And so I finally went back and finished the game. So although this is a story light game, I mean, it's spy versus spy. There's not a whole lot of story they're going to be putting in there. There's actually a plot twist to it that happens in the 5th chapter, which is pretty cool. Overall, it is very short, fun, and charming. It's got a very charming aesthetic, charming, cutesy kind of feel to it overall. It's relaxing to play, and it's pretty nostalgic because it's calling back to media and an aesthetic that most folks have been exposed to because of Bond movies or whatever.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it. It is on Steam, PS4, and mobile. I played it on mobile, but it is also on other platforms.
Yeah, it seems like a game that would really live well on an iPad or something like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, this is definitely not one of those games that you need to have like on a big screen, but it doesn't seem like something that would be detracted from if it were on a larger screen either, if that makes sense. Like, it seems like it's versatile in that way that it could be on any kind of device and still be functional. So any questions about that? I already went in depth about it 2 years ago on the level, so you can go back to December 15th, 2017 to listen to my larger discussion of this game. But yeah, I wrapped it up finally because I finally finished it. So there's that. The next thing that I played a little bit of is Icewind Dale. Now, I got the Planescape Torment / Icewind Dale Remaster dual pack thing for the Switch. And I was intending to play Torment, but then I was like, instead of playing a game that I've already played, I should probably play something new to me so I can talk about it on the level. So I loaded Icewind Dale instead. Guys, I don't know how long it took, but all I did was make my party, and I got so tired that I stopped before I even began the game, because this is a long-winded CRPG, and this is rolling a D&D party, not just one character, but a whole party. I mean, 6, and I haven't done that. Yeah, it's 6. And I was like, I haven't done this in years. I haven't rolled it like a D&D character, let alone a whole bunch of them at one time. I don't remember
what all these 2nd edition skills do. What?
Good Lord. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, this sure is a thing. And
what does the C stand for in CRPG?
Computer.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, the computer as in personal computer.
Yeah.
As opposed to console.
Okay.
Okay, so I will tell you about my party in brief, and Ben, do not be disappointed. Okay, so I am a half-elf bard because of my general versatility. I kind of fit in pretty much into whatever role you want to stick me in. It's fine. David, I made into a character. He is a human ranger because of his survival skills. Kole is a half-orc cleric because he is very tall and also keeps everyone together on the show.
Okay.
But then I had no idea what to make Dennis or you, Ben. And
Tinker.
if I added, well, I didn't know what to do. And then I was like, if I add you guys, it'd be a sausage party. So I swapped you out for other people that I know. So it would be more balanced. And so instead I put listener Mai, who is an Elven Kensai, a warrior subclass that fights without armor. And then Vivian, which I don't know how many people know her, but anyway, she is a conjurer. And then my ruck bro Gabe is a halfling assassin because homie is even shorter than me, so he is a halfling.
Who's your melee?
My melee, that would be Mai.
Ah, yes, okay.
Mai would be my tank. But anyway, I got to the starting scene with Hrothgar, and then I was suddenly really unsure of what I think about playing a CRPG on such a small screen because I don't play my Switch docked.
Right. So, I would imagine playing it docked would be the not good way to do it. Would it?
Yeah. Okay. Would it not? I don't know, but like, having it handheld, it just seems like it's now maybe it's just my initial perception of it, but I'm just like, I don't know what I think about having it on such a small screen. It seems like it needs to be on a bigger screen. But
so how does the interface work? When I think about those games, I think it's almost like a real-time strategy kind of deal where it's a lot of cursor work, it's a lot of selecting people. Like just
that's a good question. Modified? I don't know, because all I did was like load it up and then made the characters hit the save button and go away.
But are you
as far as I don't know what.
so I guess, are you moving the cursor around with the analog stick? Because that sounds kind of bad, but
yes,
yeah. Maybe you get used to it.
That.
Like it works in I don't know, that's how you play Into the Breach on the Switch, and that works fantastic. So
I don't know. I guess. I don't know. I have not played one like this on the Switch before, so we will see how that works. I have been informed that Icewind Dale is more combat heavy, and the combat is not one of my favorite elements of CRPGs. So I don't know that I will actually end up playing much of this before I switch over to playing Torment, because, of course, I mean, it's a high bar for this one to try to be on par with Torment, and knowing that it's on the same carton that I could just switch over might just cause me to be like, okay, well, no more of this, but I'm going to give it like a little bit of a try anyway. And yes, I do know that I still have to go back and play Final Fantasy 12. I'm still taking a break from JRPGs.
That's fine. So. I wasn't, God, just glass houses. If I was saying you started a game and didn't finish it.
Well, you know that I actually do pick them up and eventually do. I finish most of the games unless I say I'm not going to finish this game, like Octopath Traveler. I'm not going to do all the grinding that it takes for this game. Unless I do that, I will go back and finish the game eventually. So, well, anyway, so those were my very brief experiences. Any questions about all of that so far?
No. Okay, looks cool.
Great. Yeah. Okay, so the last thing that I've got to talk about is the one that I'm most interested in talking about, Deathmark.
Hello.
So, yeah. So this is a horror visual novel adventure game, which originally was released in 2017 for the Vita and was ported onto other systems from there. I am playing on my Switch. So you are playing basically a middle-aged dude who has arrived at a mansion to see a spiritual medium that is allegedly an expert on the titular Deathmark. It looks kind of like an animal bite, and it steals a person's memories over time and then eventually kills them within a few days. You happen to have such a mark, and you are looking to get rid of it, as you might imagine. So when you show up at the mansion and encounter the medium, she has also gotten one of the marks, and she's basically been killed off by a vegan xenomorph, or she's a vegan and a xenomorph got her. But anyway, she was burst out from within by a bunch of plants, and she's dead.
Cool.
And so, like, there's some photos and stuff. I should have pulled up my Twitter before starting this so I can show you guys, like the screenshots and videos that I've been posting about this. But anyway, so she is dead and she's been burst through, which is pretty cool. And you end up encountering, huh?
I was going to say that like an image of that is one of the covers for this in Japan, is her with the plants bursting out of her chest cavity.
Yeah. So it's like there.
Yeah.
You said this came out in 2007?
17.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so anyway, you then come across an animated talking doll in the hallway that her name is Mary, and she says that her creator, the medium lady, found the secret to getting rid of the death mark, but she died before she could use it. And you have a limited amount of time before your mark kills you. She says, you're going to be dead by sunrise. Okay, well, that's cool. How do you know that? But oh, well.
Cool.
Anyway, and so then you don't really have time to try to thumb through all of her research and read everything and figure out what the hell she was doing. So instead, you decide that you're going to follow the guidance of the creepy but very polite talking doll and go look into some crazy evil spirits in town that are possibly the cause of these marks that are showing up, because lots of people are getting them.
Right. So
other people with the,
So you walked away from one Monokuma and right into the grasp of another?
More or less.
Okay.
So, but this one's very nice.
Okay.
So, but anyway, other people with the mark have appeared, and like they show up at the mansion too, and they become your partners for the investigation and give you information about how they think they got the mark. And there's angry spirits in the town, like I mentioned, and they are basically causing the marks to appear. So you need to go figure out what the spirits' deals are and confront them to rid yourself of these marks is kind of the idea here.
Cool.
So another hitch in this whole thing is that you don't remember your name because your case is pretty advanced. The others that you come across actually do know their names, so you're worse. You're in a worse position than they are. Because like I said, this mark steals your memories and then kills you. So you're like closer to death than they are at this point. And so you get to name your dude, and I wanted to call my guy Wasurechatta, but I didn't have enough characters. So his name is Wasurenai instead, which is a different kind of joke. So instead of saying I forgot, his name being I forgot, his name is now I won't forget. So
his name is
it's
not
a very
sure.
different joke. Yeah, there you go. But anyway, the way that the game plays is kind of similar to Corpse Party or Leviathan: The Last Day of the Decade, in that you have parts that involve choices, visual novel style, and then there's parts where you explore and use inventory items and things like that. Yeah. And you also happen to have, this game also has time choices that are kind of like Telltale games, like The Walking Dead, which you just did on Hexcrank. But the amount of time that you take to respond drains your spirit power meter, which is basically your life bar. And if it drains completely, you die. And if you answer incorrectly, you also take a hit to the meter, and so you have your hit points docked. So far, the questions that you are asked that you have to respond to during these life or death choices that you've got to make are really self-evident, so long as you're paying attention to the clues and the information provided during the investigation. So it's not guesswork, as long as you're actually like reading it and not skipping through everything.
Yeah.
I'm not quite to the end of chapter 1, as these chapters are pretty long. However, I did look up some information about how the chapters end mechanically. So at the end of the chapter, you have a confrontation with the enemy spirit that you've been investigating, and then you actually have a turn-based battle with it, accompanied by one of the other mark bearers, like your partner person, that you get to choose before you go in. And you have 2 item uses per turn, and depending on the outcome, the spirit will either be saved or destroyed, and that affects the outcome of the chapter, and I guess how far it advances you towards death with the death mark and all of that. So, but yeah, so this is an interesting little game that I have been playing. And here is the creepy doll.
It's like an anime person with a beret.
It looks like it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, with like ball joints and things.
Well, of course.
So, yeah.
So think Bloodborne doll. Yeah. No, I was curious about this. I picked it up on Vita, on kind of like a really deep discount, like a sale. I think it dropped down to like $20 or something, but I never got into it for one reason or another. I think that I was just kind of in the middle of, like, I was in a jag of visual novel kind of stuff. Are there spooks? Are there good spooks?
Oh, there's stuff that pops up or that's like hiding in this, in the scenes that you go through. And there are points where creepy things happen or you hear weird sounds. There's been a pursuit section already. And I just linked a video of a point where there's this guard that you came across before who he's like, don't go into this place. It's supposed to be haunted. And then like when you come across him next, he's screaming and running and his face is being torn apart by thorns.
Cool.
So hooray. And so like there's lots of other stuff that goes on. And so it's got some creepy stuff. I found a torture death room of horridness after the pursuit scene, which I actually had posted last night, I think it was. Ooh,
so it's
here we go.
Opening up the genre for plant horror.
Well, not only plant horror, but like the story behind like the evil spirit in the first chapter is really, really fucked up. I mean, like I don't want to spoil it, but boy, it's messed up. It's a story of a little pretty boy, and what happens is pretty bad.
Like content warning bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and here's part of the pursuit part as well when I was escaping. But then I escaped into the scary occult tortury sex room or whatever underneath the teacher's lounge. Huh. But so this game's got some stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it's all pretty horrible. So it works as a horror game.
I'm down.
So I mean, like, I'm as much as you can enjoy a thing like this. It is something that I am enjoying playing. It is interesting. So, are there any questions about Death Mark?
How long is the game? Do you know?
I don't know how many chapters. I want to say it's something along probably 5 or 6 chapters long or something like that. I don't know for sure. Oh, but another thing I wanted to mention is that at the very beginning, before you start your first investigation, you are given the key to the car that's in, the garage in the mansion. And then your partner is like, hey, should you be driving? Do you know how to drive? Because your memories are going. And so that was actually pretty cool. I mean, not only do you not have a license on you, did you ever get a license in the first place? You have no idea. You don't have any ID on you. Also, do you actually know how to drive?
Yeah.
And so that was like a gamble that you took where you're like, well, I might not be able to do this, but I'm going to drive anyway because I need to get somewhere.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that was an interesting way of presenting, the whole memory loss thing.
Yeah.
So
plot twist: you forgot how to stop, though.
right.
Yeah, it's the sudden stop that gets you. Yeah. No, I'm always curious. I'm always excited when something takes the visual novel and adds actually some gameplay on top of it. Like Steins Gate is good, but it's a little more than a comic book with good music in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, and this one's got, like I said, the first part that you were investigating is a school, and you have to move forward through each of the different rooms and stuff, and you've got a map that you have to go through. And then you can also pick up items, including items that are not directly on your track. Also, the doll tells you that the more that you dally, the less time that you have overall to live, because you only have until sunrise. Mm-hmm. So, if you do extra exploring off the beaten path too much, like, you will be whittling down your time to live as well. And I don't know if she just says that and that doesn't actually play into the gameplay at all,
right,
or if that is actually an element that, is being ticked off.
I generally don't care. I don't care for adventure games that have like a hard time limit on top of it like that. I would very much hope that they are just kind of hinting at that to give you a sense of anxiety.
I think so far, I don't have any proof that it actually is doing anything to me. Mm-hmm. Like, there hasn't been any status update saying, "Oh, you've only got this much time left" or something like that. Yeah. Like, it hasn't been telling me that. So I do not think that is the case, but we will see. Once I complete the first chapter, I will see if there's like a scoring for it or something like that, or if it does affect the overall game. But I haven't gotten to that point yet. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this one's interesting because it's got, like I said, there was a pursuit part where actually it felt like, oh snap, this thing's in the other room and it's gonna kill, like, just like in Corpse Party where you're like, oh my God, this thing is coming for me, I gotta go. Mm-hmm. Like, same kind of feeling was going on with this, even though it is more of a visual novel style. And it also, like, I'm interested to see what these apparent turn-based combat sections are going to work out like.
Yeah, that could either be really cool or it could just be a real damper on things as you fail, then fail, then fail.
Well, we'll see. Then again, what was it? It was Hatoful Boyfriend actually had that one turn-based battle scene that happened as well. So that was tolerable. It wasn't great, but it was tolerable. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this one works out.
Yeah.
But
very cool. Deathmark.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a series too, right? Like there was a sequel that came out, Spirit Detective, something else.
Yeah, I know there's another game after that came out. I don't know if it's in America or what. I didn't pay attention. I was like, well, I have to like this one before I get excited about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that all you had? Is that all?
Yeah. That's all.
Cool. You've reignited my interest in Deathmark.
Woohoo.
Cool. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, got a small one and a big one.
Cool.
Small one was over Thanksgiving. We played some Jackbox 6.
Ooh, yeah.
So we played Trivia Murder Party 2, which is great. I think I also played that on your stream a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Also great, getting the dad hat and being targeted by the host.
That is so, I like it. So it's probably it was a surprise to me when it happened, but if you play enough of this, it'll go. So like Trivia Murder Party, do you mind if I explain what this is? Because it's so cool.
Yeah.
Trivia Murder Party. Everybody who is playing who gets a question wrong has to play a little mini game in order to spare their lives. These mini games have different levels of like difficulty and different like statistical probabilities to live. But you have to lose in order to be thrown into them. Otherwise, you move on to the next round just fine, alive. The dad hat. I don't know what it was. I forget exactly how you get it, but
the host says early on, like, I need someone to roleplay as my dad to like get out my aggression against him.
It was like he was going through because you've got somebody taking you hostage and forcing you to answer questions. Like you had to like draw from a box of like family heirlooms, and one of them was like a hat, like a Stetson hat. It said, "Oh, that was my dad's hat," and it puts it on you. And you think, okay, like there's no immediate downside to this. Fine, cool. But then the next question that you get, even if you answer it correctly, because the host has daddy issues, is like, well, fuck you, dad. I'm going to throw you into the game as well. So it's no matter if you get the question right, you still have to fight for your life. And then whoever is left alive at the end of those things, so the person who has the hat dies, it gets passed to another person. So once the hat is in play, it's always being passed around.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Someone is always being hurt every round.
Yes. Yeah. But like, you know, in Trivia Murder Party 1, like they had one of those where it's like, oh, it's the finger chopping game and there's no immediate downside. You just pick number 1, 2, 3, or 4 for the different fingers that you've got. Like, okay, I'll chop off number 4 and then think, okay, well, that sucks, but it's fine. Then the next question that comes up, you can't select the 4th answer, even if it is the right one. I just love those delayed, oh, I didn't realize how I screwed myself. Kind of things. Sorry that I stomped on your thing, Ben. It's such I was so excited when that popped up.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. They really did that justice. Like, it's not just like a phoned in sequel. Like, it's really awesome. And then the other one we played was the Press the Button, which is the kind of like Resistance or like Werewolf type game.
Yeah,
where the premise is, so like there's like X players, and then there's like 2 or 3 aliens among the players, and the rest are humans. And so it takes turns. You get to pick ways to test, and you get to pick people to test, and it'll do things like give them like a verbal question prompt. It'll give them like a Pictionary type prompt. It'll be this weird like reverse Pictionary type thing. There's a couple different ways you can try and test other people, and then you talk amongst yourselves of like who you think the aliens are based on how people perform. And then it gets more complicated because after a while, the people who are the aliens can start ruining other people's prompts or switching things around. And so it becomes like less obvious like who the people are, and people can claim to be innocent, or they can claim to be like, hey, I didn't know what the question was, so I think an alien messed with me. And so it's like it's really hard to deduce like who's good and who's bad. And then it kind of comes down to at any point in the, you have 20 minutes on the timer to figure out what's what. At any point in the time, you can press a button and say and accuse like, I think these 2 people are the aliens, or I think these 3 people are the aliens. And if everybody votes unanimously and they get ejected from the ship, then you win. Otherwise, you lose and the aliens win. And so there's like a lot of interesting game theory, because if it's a unanimous vote, you're like, well, either I picked correctly or one is wrong and the aliens are all for this, you know? So it's really, really interesting, like what goes on with that. And there's like there's another type of test. One of the tests, you can screen people if you pass it correctly, and so you can know guaranteed like whether or not somebody's a human or an alien. So that was a really, really fun social game. So I want to play that one some more.
Yeah, I really dug the aesthetic of that one. It was a bummer because, you know, the first time I streamed this after it came out, it was I was very excited to try out all of these. But then it was like, oh, like this kind of works on stream. I imagine it would have to be just amazingly fun in person.
Yeah, it's more interesting. It's a lot more staring at people's faces and, you know, giving them the Larry David. But yeah.
Oh yeah, when we streamed it, we absolutely spaced 2 humans.
Yeah, that seems to be the norm of it, is getting rid of people who are actually not aliens.
Yeah,
but yeah. Anyway, Jackbox continues to be great. But the other game I want to talk about is Outer Worlds. I finally started sinking my teeth into this game.
Cool.
I've been playing a whole lot of it over the past week or 2. I think I'm towards the end of the game. I've hit a point where they give you the warning of, if you pass this point, you better save because you won't be able to finish other things, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But there's still like 1 or 2 planets in the solar system that I haven't explored yet. So I'm not sure where I am in the game, if it's like a halfway point thing or if I'm like close to the end point thing. But I probably played for about 20 to 30 hours or so. It's not bad. It's good. It still continues to be like really dark, and even though it's a weird juxtaposition because the colors are so bright and neon and kind of very saturated and stuff and over the top, but then all the talking to people and like the society and like the culture and the world building is just really depressing and really dark. So it's definitely a unique art style and juxtaposition of what's going on with the story. But at the same time, it's just all the game is like pretty much fetch quest, and like I don't want to speak too illy of it, but it's just a lot of like going back and forth to different planets. It feels similar to a Knights of the Old Republic, but maybe not as rich, maybe in terms of like how the environments look compared to that game. But I don't know. I mean, there's some moments of really solid like creativity in terms of the missions that you're doing. But the gameplay overall feels very similar to kind of Knights of the Old Republic, where it's like, okay, I have these like 6 side quests that I can do on this planet. I'm going to do these. Okay, these all go forward 1 leg, and then the next leg are all at different planets. Now I'm going to go to this planet that has like 6 missions. I'm going to take care of all those. It's like that. And so while there's good moments within those missions, overall the gameplay is kind of a little unexciting. They try and kind of spice it up. One of the missions that you do is finding different exotic guns throughout the world, and each of those guns kind of does something that's very, I guess, unique or unexpected. So that's kind of like a cool way to kind of spice up like the gameplay, I guess. They also have some mechanics that kind of work in Fallout, where they have certain areas that they give you access to but are way over your level, just to kind of like give you guardrails and let you figure, or I don't know how to phrase it, giving you optional places to opt yourself out of from going, I guess.
Yeah.
They let you find your own guardrails, I guess.
Yeah. Just they instead of putting real walls up, they put meat walls.
Yeah, and there's definitely a nice sense of progression. Like they give you plenty of like missions and side missions to do, to the point where I think David was mentioning this last time, where it's you can kind of pick and choose what missions you want to do, because there's plenty of ones that are like not enviable missions to do, where it's like, hey, go kill this person who runs a factory because we want to take over their factory. It's just like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. That sounds mean. Like you don't have to do all those missions, because I have, for the most part, and I feel way over leveled at this point. Like I can one shot everything with energy weapon is kind of what I've got.
Yeah.
You hit a certain point where you kind of hit an escape velocity where you're finding more ammo than it takes to actually kill the things that you're fighting. So then you don't have to play with every gun type like you do in the beginning. You can just pick whatever gun you want and just continue to use that, which I like that aspect, that I don't have to like cycle between weapons like a chore. I like that I can just use my energy weapon, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead.
So I've got a question. So lots of comparisons have been made to New Vegas, and I think that makes sense because Obsidian made this game. However, I'm kind of curious. Something that really marks New Vegas as being distinct among those kind of Bethesda games is the faction system. You're gonna get in good with the NCR. Go against Kaiser's Legion and all that kind of stuff. And does any of the faction stuff carry over into this? Are you like picking a side? Are you working against other people that you could otherwise work with?
Yeah, so I noticed this last night when I was looking through my character stats. There are a bunch of different they're corporations instead of factions. And you kind of have a disposition with each of the corporations. And what's interesting is not like a tug of war of like of dislike. It's like a 0 to 100 for like and dislike. So a corporation can both like and dislike you if you murder all their underlings, but then also give them something, but then what their rating of you is something like volatile, or like, where it's just like, well, we can't really trust this person. They're very inconsistent, So I thought it was interesting that it wasn't just like a good evil type thing, or like dislike type meter.
It seems like that. I mean, that is pulled over pretty much exactly from Tyranny, where you had like with individuals you had loyalty and fear, and with organizations you had fear and wrath, or you had loyalty and wrath, or something like that. Favor and wrath. There we go.
Yeah. So I think for the most part, you don't have to do anything with any of the corporations. I think you can kind of opt out of it if you want. Likewise, similar to most of their games, So I think instead of developing the corporation/factions as much as they did in Fallout New Vegas, they instead spent more focus on the companions. They feel much more fleshed out than the ones in Fallout New Vegas, and that's saying something because like the ones in Fallout New Vegas were somewhat memorable.
Yeah, Arcade Gannon and Veronica. Yep.
Yeah, Whiskey Rose. They did a good job in this game. They have like companion quests similar to like Knights of the Republic type game. That do a good job of kind of fleshing out the characters and what their backstory is and kind of what their struggles are. So that part is all really well done. Also, what's interesting, I saved the game before doing this. There's one character who their parents are kind of like assholes, so I just killed them. And then she was like, "What did you do? Why did you do this?" And then immediately left the party. You know, and it's just like,
okay, yeah, that stands to reason.
Yeah, so I do think it's really awesome that they kind of have all that like kind of pre-computed or taken care of. Like all the companions, I think there's 6 different companions you can have. You get to choose which ones you have. All of them are optional because you could just say, as David did with one of them, like, I don't like you. I'm not going to invite you on my ship. Like you're going to stay right here on this backwater planet. So I thought that was pretty cool that they give you that option as well. Yeah. So, I mean, overall, it's not bad. I've kind of part of the reason why I want to get through it too is there's like a lot of other games I want to play that are coming out right now. And so I kind of wanted to get this off my plate. So it's like a not bad experience. I would say it's like a solid B+ game if you're looking for something like a Fallout type game to play. I don't think it's done much. I don't think it's covered much new ground, I guess. It's kind of like well-treaded territory at this point. I mean, it's good writing, so that part I can appreciate, but the gameplay, like, there's nothing really new there. Do really like one of the characters says to shreds you say when you're in combat, which is a Futurama reference.
To shreds you say.
Yeah. That caught me off guard. And, I really like that. There's a lot of really good movie references that they have baked in the game too. So I appreciate that sort of stuff. But
nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I love Obsidian. So I'm glad that they are still making another game, and I hope it's popular. But so I mean, I want those people to continue being employed. So if this is how they do that, then I'm fine with that. But it's not like a Game of the Year material, I think.
It's gotten a good reception.
Yeah.
No, I think I wouldn't worry too much about Obsidian right now. I want them to make Tyranny 2. We just finished doing that for WAF, and that's some good Obsidian. It's not the best Obsidian, but it's good Obsidian.
Fair.
Yeah.
So I might have more to say in a week or so. I think I'll probably beat it. Maybe.
Cool.
I don't know how much is left. So
yeah, if that point of no return is for real, then you might be close.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. And is that all you had? You said a little one, big one? All right.
Yep.
I don't have a whole awful lot right now. Finished up Walking Dead season 1 on 400 days on stream. If people are listening and they want to get on those streams, I do those Friday and Saturday evenings, 8:30 Eastern time, both times. I'm going to be starting something new up here. Season 1 of Walking Dead, there are like inconsistencies. There's like a couple of moments, like especially in episode 5, where it's stuff like people started making choices. Specifically, Kenny like made a choice that I forgot was as bad as it was.
I can't remember.
It's where he stays behind to save Ben when he has no reason to do that. At least there are multiple ways I believe that it can work out, but yeah, it was like even people on stream were like, oh, that's really lame. But the moments that people remember from that still really stand out as being really good moments.
I remember the opening of episode 5.
Yeah. It's funny because like even knowing that the choice you make at the start there doesn't actually make that big of a difference for how things work out for Lee, I still made the choice to go with cutting his arm off.
Yeah.
Because that would maximize the drama for the stream. So yeah. So I don't know. I'm a petty god, malevolent director. Lee didn't have to go through that, but I made it happen anyway. So that was fun. had a good, people seem to enjoy that. Another thing that I've been playing, Ben, you got me a horror game for my birthday. Thank you very much. You got me a game that's on Steam in early access right now called Visage or Visage.
Yeah,
I say Visage. And so I'm going to settle on that for right now, and I don't care how wrong I might be. This is so it's a first person exploration game. I'm not quite sure how much mechanically is going on. It is modeled explicitly after PT. However, it doesn't do the same like spatial trick that PT has. You're not going around an endless hallway loop kind of deal. You are in a house that is maybe haunted, maybe it's in your head, and you are going and exploring. It's very heavily flavored, very heavily influenced by Amnesia, The Dark Descent specifically.
Yay!
Yeah, where, being in the dark causes your sanity to go down. Being around any kind of paranormal stuff causes your sanity to go down. And as your sanity goes down, more paranormal stuff starts happening. In the early bit that I have played, and I had to pull out of it, and I'll explain why. So I haven't gotten to a part where like I'm being chased by enemies explicitly just yet. In the early bit where I played, most of the spooks and scares have come down to, like lights turning off, like when I absolutely didn't touch them. Television's turning on and turning off, radios turning on and turning off, relatively small ball. There's cool stuff that goes on where like the world state will change in really subtle ways. Like you'll uncover a mirror and it'll change something outside, like outside of the room where you're in, and then you go back and the mirror isn't there. There's a part where you yank a plastic covering off of something that ends up being nothing. What was holding that up there? Again, real subtle stuff at the start here. The reason I had to like back out of it, and why I'm probably going to like maybe look at a walkthrough of it to be sure. This is an incredibly dark game. Not like,
content wise,
not content wise, not like Deathmark wise, Jala, where like really fucked up stuff happens. That's like it opens up with, I think, your character slowly loading a gun and shooting your entire family. So there's dark. Don't worry, the content matter is dark there. Visually, this is an incredibly dark game, to the point where like I was unable to see keys on tables that I needed to get. And so like I was playing this before I hopped on here, and like I was like, I'm going to I burned through a whole bunch of resources. I need to like just up the gamma so I can see stuff, because really all that you have for a persistent light source at the beginning is a lighter, and it didn't communicate to me that lighter fluid was a finite resource. And guess what you need to light candles, which is your other thing. You need a lighter. So if the lighter runs out, and you cannot see where any lighter fluid might be, guess what? You don't have a way to get more light. So I need to
like losing your glasses.
Yeah. So I would like to go back into it some more. It's early access, and my understanding is they're like putting it out kind of a chapter at a time. There are 2 chapters that are out right now. Like the stuff, like I've seen stills, and like fucked up stuff does happen. I just was not able to see, like, to get the keys that I needed to open the doors to see that stuff.
Are you tempted to do like the Eternal Darkness playthrough and just sit in a dark closet, let your sanity drop to 0, and then play the game that way?
I don't know if you can live. I don't know. If who knows? Like when you start running away from enemies, like does it cause you to go into like panic attacks and they catch up to you? I have no idea. Like the mechanics of this game have not necessarily revealed themselves to me. Yeah.
Sweet. Are you streaming this game or just playing it on your own?
I'm playing it on my own. I'm thinking, my initial thought was to do a Hexcrank first hour about it. But I'm going to do a little bit of like poking around at a video to see if there's something I'm not seeing. And then maybe I'll I'll go back and take another shot at it.
Okay.
So yeah. But that is Visage. I'm curious. I thought that it was, I put it on my wish list, because I wanted it, because I think my little sister actually mentioned something about it. I'm curious about it. Just like there's this whole world of PT Alyx that, like this is the first one of them that I've played that it seems like it actually has any kind of mechanical depth to it, which is nice. So, but
yeah, it's not all smoke.
Any questions about Visage?
Let me know if you stream it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Cool. The only other thing, I got the oddest hankering to play some Assassin's Creed, and I saw they had it on sale, the Assassin's Creed III Remaster for the Switch, and I was like, you know what, that sounds like it'd be kind of fun to play an Assassin, just like have a big dumb clear the map game to play in bed. Like that sounds kind of cool. So I'm almost through the prologue on that, where you're playing as Hatham.
How long's the prologue?
The first 3 sequences before you switch over to Connor.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I haven't played that one before. Ben, I know you have a dim opinion of it.
It's just it's similar to Skyrim, where it's like, by the end of it, I was like, man, I played this for this many hours, and like, it was fine.
Yeah. I've got kind of a hankering for some history kind of stuff, and the Assassin's Creed version of history is dumb, but I don't know, like I'm talking to Ben Franklin and George Washington and shit, like
sure, why not?
I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I have more to say about that later, but it's fun to play on the Switch.
I do remember they did have fun, like, board games that you could play within it, like, that were authentic towards the time. It's like stone moving games where you track the stones, kind of like Othello, but they move in weird directions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I actually lost a good amount of money trying to learn the rules to those.
Yeah.
So, but I'm a sucker for any of those, like just the period appropriate games, like, I don't know, playing Red Dead Redemption and going into the taverns and playing weird like blackjack variants that I've never heard of before. Mm-hmm. That's all cool stuff. Like I'm down for that.
Mm.
Yeah. But that's all I got.
Yay.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what did you ask the nice people?
I asked, what pivotal moment in a game has caused you to rethink a character, situation, or your role as the player?
Yeah, and there's going to be some mild spoilers on this, but why don't we get started with Roop, who says, the latest one would be Oxenfree. I went into it thinking it's just some kind of walking simulator version of Life is Strange, but oh my, I was very wrong. Can't really talk about it, but everyone who has gone through the game and to the New Game Plus will know what I mean. I had people warn me off of Oxenfree, but I've been very... I've been indecisive about whether or not that's one of those things where when people warn me away from it, they actually mean, hey, Kole, play this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not played it. It's been on that list of stuff that I should consider looking at. And a friend of mine recommended it and showed me a little bit of it, but I didn't see enough to get into it,
I think you just have to be ready for something really talky, is my understanding.
Yeah. I've played 80% of it, I think.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But I never made it to the end.
I see. Ben, what does Casey say?
Casey says, I didn't have it happen personally, but watching the big twist towards the end of Immortal Unchained happen made my jaw drop, and I immediately rewound to see it happen again.
It's a really ambitious twist. I don't want to give too much of it away, but there's some fourth wall stuff that's going on that is very deftly handled, let's say. Yeah. Jala, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says, big smoke. He can order fools around. He can order food like a king. He can say, we only needed to follow the damn train, CJ, 500 times because his lazy ass won't shoot the guys on top of it. But he can also be double dealing in the background and holding your entire neighborhood back. Yeah.
That's one of those things. Like I always thought that Big Smoke's drive-thru order was just a joke. And yes, it's half funny, half fat phobic. But then I saw a meme. Somebody pointed out like, oh, he was absolutely stalling for time by doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been forever since I played San Andreas. I don't have anything to add on top of that.
So there, like nobody had anything to say about that.
I think Ben was drinking something. Otherwise,
I was drinking your lovely voice. I haven't played that game in like 14 years, but yeah.
You 100% of that, didn't you? Back when we were in the dorms.
I did. Yeah. Okay, so maybe like 13 years.
Nice. Jeez. Lindsay writes, obligatory Dark Souls answer. To play through the game just to realize you caused all the chaos was brilliant and horrifying. And how the entire series brought that point together was great too. But my favorite was killing Old Demon King in Dark Souls 3. It did make me feel bad in ways a game has never done. Do I feel bad about killing off the entire demon race that gave me so much crap in Dark Souls 1, or do I not feel bad about that? Devil face emoticon. Yeah, you do, over the course of 3 games, completely wipe them out. Yeah, but then you fight, like, it's not the Old Demon King that's the last one. It's the it's the ones at the beginning of Ring City, but then time is weird in that, so I don't know if that is technically the first or the last. Anyway, context.
All I got was genocide.
Yes. Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says, many games do this, but the one that sticks out with me is Planescape Torment. For most of the game, you think you are just trying to figure out the mess that is your life. When you finally near the end, you find out that you are the mess. Honorable mention to Tyranny, a really hard game to play with a good guy attitude like you can have in so many games while doing terrible, evil things.
Tyranny will be my answer, but I'll save it until the end. I won't throw this in. And that, like, it's not because it's the most, just because it's the game I played most recently and it has a cool moment like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, Planescape is definitely, because
that's a good one.
You really have done terrible things, and the game is kind of about deciding how you feel about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jala, what does Casey say?
Well, Casey doesn't say it. Chicken Riggy's also known as Jack says.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't figure this out the first time I played, but revealing the illusion in Orlando gave Dark Souls a brand new flavor. I loved the fight with Gwendolyn the first time because of how cool it presented visually. The second time added thematic brilliance. Really a chef fingers misdirection.
Yeah. Very good. It's kind of funny because of the 3 people here, I'm the one of us who knows what that is, but I don't want to bore everybody by just saying it, like explaining the context for that. But yeah, the Anne Rolando moment is it's a big one, and it hasn't really been replicated in the series or elsewhere.
Yay!
Yeah.
A lot of youth going around tonight. Genocide.
Okay, here's the secret, Ben. I will cheer when there is a pause and it's awkward silence.
Yeah.
I will just insert a cheer.
And I feel like Cole will say a lot of things to leave an awkward silence. So between the two of you,
that's a lot of cheering.
Okay, I have no problem being cheerleader.
Christopher writes, Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club is a jerk. That's a big moment. Yeah. No, that's a interesting case. But again, you would have to have played that to have the context for it. Anyway, hey, Ben, what does Mike say?
Mike says, big one for me is Deus Ex. After you are captured and escape from your cell, only to discover that you're being held in Unatco headquarters? Unitco headquarters, a previously safe space. Having spent a big part of the early game wandering around that area, hacking computers and chatting with staff there, this revelation completely recontextualized not only the space, but my/JC's conception of who the bad guys really are.
Yeah, that's a top 10 moment. Absolutely, maybe top 5. when you're sneaking through and you open up a big door and you step out and like, well, shit, this is my office. Oh man, man, playing Human Revolution has really made me like, I'm torn between going back and dipping into Deus Ex 1 again or dipping into Mankind Divided. Good games, so many good games.
Human Revolution, I don't think it's a perfect game, but I thought it did a good job of carrying the torch of like a nice Old Republic type game of like having good mission layouts and having a good fleshed out like area to explore.
Human Revolution. There are worse things you can do than spend time playing Human Revolution. Yeah. So we can go on to our answers. Thank you, everybody, for writing in on that. Mine will be just kind of very briefly. So Tyranny, again, this isn't, probably the most, but it's the one that I have experienced most recently, and it's pretty cool. Your character, like, you are an emissary sent by this grand overlord, by the godlike, conquering force. And as an emissary, you declare edicts. You basically call down region-wide or country-wide natural disasters. And that's just a thing that happens to soften up whole areas and things like that. And over the course of the game, either as you work with the different factions that carry out Kairos's will, Kairos being the overlord, or go your own way, trying to chart your own course, learning exactly how those edicts work and exactly what the nature of power is, and kind of just how, let's say, legalistic everything is, and figuring out how to subvert these and gain the power for your own. It's a very satisfying moment when you just kind of like look at the totality of the world building that has been established for you and say like, oh yeah, they're like, what seems like holes are actually very well thought out, like opportunities for you to exploit in trying to turn the tables against the forces that are arrayed at you. It's a really cool moment when you find alternative ways to get what you want using this power and figuring out how it works. I understand that is very vague, but it is extremely satisfying in the moment. Yeah.
Yay.
Ben, how about you?
This isn't an exact answer, but I think it answers the spirit of the question. I think Dutch in Red Dead Redemption 2, I haven't spent as much time like thinking about a character and what their motivations actually are as I have on that character in that game in recent history. Because it's constantly like kind of like pulling a carrot along of like, if we just do this, then we'll be okay. And you're constantly following him and you're like, does he have good intentions or is this guy full of shit? So yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
And since that's a long game, you spend a lot of time doing that.
You spend a lot of time second guessing who you got your wagon hitched to. Yeah. Jala.
So I actually have lots of answers to this because I came up with a question. So the first thing I'll say is Danganronpa 3 ending has an interesting twist to it, which I'll talk about on another dedicated episode elsewhere. Other than that, the last one that I can think of that I played to do that was probably Hatoful Boyfriend, when your main character I'll go ahead and spoil it. Spoilers for Hatoful Boyfriend. Your main character dies halfway through the game, and then like it's no longer a dating sim with pigeons. It's a post-apocalyptic murder mystery. You're like, what the hell is going on? And like, it like you are no longer there. Like you are dead, and then like the entire world gets flipped on its head, and like everything that you thought was just like this silly cute game is very different. So many of those things that people say about, for example, Doki Doki Literature Club also apply to Hatoful Boyfriend, which came out before, and I have not played Doki Doki, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been told that it is uncertain whether I would have the tolerance to deal with the dating sim, whatever, leading up to the actual good part of that game. But I don't know. I've got tolerances for things sometimes. Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, if it's on Switch, maybe, but I'm not going to play it sitting in my computer. Anyway, so I have other answers.
Okay.
So another one would be Planescape Torment. I will second that. I will also say Symphony of the Night, the Upside Down Castle, is a nice way of like taking the existing art asset and just literally turning it upside down. And then like now the space is now the space is completely different. So, of course, the main, the image graphic for this was of BioShock, and I played that just a few years ago for the first time, not when it was new, and that was like, a turn. Of course, I was suspicious. You will see on the stream archive of that, which is on YouTube, on my youtube.com/Jalachun. I was suspicious of Atlus from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I didn't trust his ass from the moment I heard him. So anyway, it just justified my distrust and dislike of that band.
I'm not saying distrust all Irish. I'm saying distrust somebody that Irish.
Most Irish.
And what about Ollie? You can't do that to a solid bro.
I've never heard Ollie speak, so at this point, I imagine, based on everything I've heard,
Schrodinger's Irish. Yeah,
based on everything I've heard, Ollie is a delightful person. But just if it turns out he's an Atlas, well, just the way the cards are dealt. So sorry, buddy. Obviously, I'm
well.
Not
anyway, those I know. Well, anyway, those were my various answers to this question.
Cool.
So,
yeah. Did you have the twist for BioShock spoiled for you, or was it?
No, that was the first, and like, of course, everybody was just waiting when I was doing that stream to see what my reaction would be. But as was my reaction to most of the game, I was pretty nonplussed, and I was just like, okay, that was a thing. That was pretty good. I just move on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I lost my mind at the ending because it looked totally like a Street Fighter boss from like Third Strike or something. It was so dumb. But anyway.
Yeah. So, thank you everybody for responding to this. Good answers, good times. If you would like to participate in the multiplayer in the future, consider going to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast, liking that page, and looking for the questions to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you, Jala, for posting this one.
The End Boss.
Now it's time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world around us that we're excited about. Just a real quick wrap up, pulse check, if you will. Jala, what is YouTube doing?
So YouTube has decided to lift the restrictions on scripted or simulated violence in video game uploads from, now going forward. And real violence from real world stuff will still be restricted, of course. And if the video solely centers on gory content like dismemberment or decapitation or something, it will be restricted. But they are lifting the bans on the age restrictions for the rest of it, saying that basically, people should be able to tell the difference between a video game, versus a real actual thing. Yeah. This is specifically for YouTubers who upload things like Call of Duty and Gears of War to help facilitate those YouTube creators with their, whatever they do, monetization of the YouTube ad system or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just if the algorithm sensed anything.
I don't know how I think about it. It's just a thing. I don't know what I feel about it. It's just a thing that happened. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. I'm not sure how that impacts anything at this particular point. I mean, there's plenty of kids that already play Call of Duty. So,
yeah.
I don't know that there's the YouTube restrictions for video content being uploaded there really made a difference anyway. I mean, people were already playing the game, so.
Yeah, it's probably for the better. Just anything that helps Let's Plays as opposed to hindering them. I don't know. It's good for me as somebody who puts video game content on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. Good on them. I wish that they would have more actual people doing moderating and stuff as opposed to having everything be in an algorithm, but oh well. Yeah. Let's see here. I've got one that I definitely have a little bit of a feeling about. I'm torn on this because this is obviously a publicity stunt that the company that makes this card game is, trying to get people to talk about the controversy or what have you.
Is it Deck of Wonders?
No. I'd rather be talking about Deck of Wonders. The whatever company makes Uno that card game Uno, the inoffensive card game Uno that nobody has ever thought anything about. They've released a version of their game called Uno Nonpartisan, where they remove the blue and red from the cards. So they replace the colors. I think it's like it's like purple and orange or what have you. So still bluish, still reddish.
And they left the green party in there. What's that about?
Yeah. And the say is on the box it says no red or blue cards means no taking sides. Nobody ever thought about Uno as a political thing until they put this out, and all of a sudden it got put into this conversation about political correctness and just how dumb it is. And I would say, being the scold that I am, that maybe making light of how it is bitter everything is right now. It's not the greatest look to come out and say, haha, guys, stop arguing. People are dying. Yeah. So Uno can go fuck themselves for this dumb tone deaf joke that feels a little bit like on the line of like Monopoly Millennial Edition, where they say go ahead and play the game. It's not like you'll own property anyway. Yeah. So pretty dumb. But the thing I'm excited about and not just incensed about is I looked at that. I was like, oh yeah, you can play Uno with just a regular deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'll do that now.
Yeah, you can just do that, just like a regular bicycle deck. The instead of colors, it's sweets.
Which bicycle deck are you gonna have? The blue one or the red one?
Blue one, I guess. I don't know. but no, jacks are either reverses or skips. You decided at the start. Queens are queens are like wild card, I think, and then the kings are wild card draw too. So yeah, just like it's literally just the royalty suits or the royalty cards are your special ones, and then you play Uno, because it's a fun game to play with people, for something to do with your hands while you're sharing time.
I have to confess, I haven't played Uno in like so long. I don't know how to play Uno. Mm-hmm. Because like the last time I played it, I probably was like a preteen. Mm-hmm. So
it's just a fun, simple game to play. Like the rules are simple enough. You're just matching colors or numbers. And then drawing when you can't and trying to get as, down to as few cards as possible. Like, it's not an especially fun game, but it is like an engaging enough game to play while you're talking with people is the thing, like, which satisfies my desires for a card game. It's something to do with your hands while you're talking,
I have nostalgic memories tied to it because that's what we'd play after like a family dinner at my grandma's house when I was a kid.
Yeah. Like in the Midwest, people play euchre and people play Uno. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ben, how about you?
Yeah. So we alluded to this story, I think on our last podcast. I think we had an announcement from Valve that they were going to announce what they had on Friday. Mm-hmm. But we heard about this on Tuesday, so we didn't know what it was going to be. So in our absence, they announced Half-Life Alyx, another entry in the Half-Life series that's exclusively on VR. So the story that I shared is that over Black Friday, apparently the Valve Index was sold out. I don't know what that means. If it's like sold out,
or like back ordered or something.
Yeah. It feels like these days you can't actually sell out of anything anymore. It's just like, it's just on the way eventually. But so I guess this is a good news for Valve, since the Index is like pretty pricey. I think we did a story on this within the year where it's like around $1,000 or like $900 to $1,000. Mm-hmm. It's the pricier VR system that's out right now. So I guess good for Valve that they have something to sell this on. Admittedly, the trailer for Half-Life Alyx looks pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. It looks pretty awesome. It's just high fidelity graphics for Half-Life, and like that's pretty much all you need. And I and probably a whole bunch of other people are excited about that. Yeah. And it looks cool. I don't know how they will do all the mechanics, but in the trailer it shows like a lot of things of like you're kind of like behind a wall, and you're kind of like each of the scenes, like you're doing something with a hand, like you're pulling a power switch or something to keep you stationary. No. And then with the other hand, you're kind of like leaning around and you're shooting at things if you want. There's head crabs, which looks terrifying in VR.
Jesus.
I don't know if people want to experience that at all.
I haven't watched the trailer because it's something I'll play eventually. I just want to.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did not think of head crabs.
Yeah. I mean, it looks sweet. They have stuff like gun reloading mechanics. I don't know how they will pull it off or how the controls will work with it. But it's going to come out on the Index, the Vive, the Oculus, and Windows MR, which I did not know was a thing. So sadly, it is going to be absent from PlayStation VR. So it seems like there's now a schism of, there's some games are on PlayStation VR and some are not, and you have to kind of pick a side. So that might be where the battle lines are drawn for the next generation, or well, not next generation, the tangential generation.
Yeah, the weird alternate evolution that happens in VR. I would be surprised maybe when Sony puts out a new headset that's higher resolution to work with the PS5, maybe it'll come over. But I'm not terribly surprised that right now PSVR is kind of rinky dink compared to some of the other stuff. I love it. Like, it's neat. It is exactly the kind of VR that I need. But yeah, funny.
Yeah.
Is that the word for it? Funny.
Maybe. I think I just ran out of steam and I needed to stop talking, so I would stop babbling.
But at least you didn't make an awkward silence.
Yeah, otherwise somebody would cheer.
And then I'd have to cheer.
And also the game's coming out in March of 2020, so within 3 to 4 months. Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't the most difficult prediction to make. But when we recorded the episode before they made the announcement, when they just announced the announcement, I said, "Oh, this is probably what the Campo Santo guys were doing, the Firewatch folks." And yep, they're the lead designers behind it. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that aspect because they were working on In the Valley of Gods.
They removed the stuff about In the Valley of Gods from their Twitter profile, so who knows if it will? Who knows if it will escape the black hole of Valve or not now? Which is a real bummer.
That part of the story. Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, so Campo Santo is also the Walking Dead folks, or the Walking Dead season 1 folks. So
wait, what?
Yeah.
Were they working for the company in San Francisco at the time? I forget their name.
Yeah, so they initially Jake Rodkin and Sean Vanneman, Idle Thumbs folks. They were working for Telltale. They made Walking Dead season 1. Shortly after that, they formed their own company, Campo Santo, made Firewatch, and then Campo Santo was bought by Valve, and now they're making this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Here I thought I brought news to you. But I got news judoed.
No, it's not a competition. We're just adding context for folks. Yeah. Cool. Well, how do you two feel about buttoning it up?
I feel buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. I appreciate you taking the time. Would like to... Let me see here. What is happening by way of admin? Duckstream is going on December 20th, 21st, and 22nd right now.
Yay!
Yeah, so we're going to try and get... I need to work it out with you guys about shifts and things like that to help me out here. Yeah, so be sure to watch that. That's our 5th annual charity stream in support of the Transactive Gender Center out of Portland, Oregon. It's always a good time. Yeah. So be sure to watch that. That's going to be at twitch.tv/Duckfeed.tv. Otherwise, the stuff to do for this show, Patreon, Facebook, iTunes ratings and reviews, etc. What am I forgetting?
It's Apple Podcasts, not iTunes.
Oh, yeah. It's dumb that they changed it. Never changed anything.
Looks like somebody has a death mark on them. Wicked and things like that.
Right?
Oh, cool. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can follow me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I'm Jala-chan in places.
I'm Ben Merkel in places.
Cool. And stick around for some titles.
have one.
Okay.
Tooth tree.
I have teeth trees.
Okay.
Oh, wow. The double plural.
Which do we prefer between those? I think tooth tree was what we actually said.
Either of them. As fine as both of them are fine, but
well, that's exactly why I wrote it down, because it was so upsetting.
Yeah. So I think between those,
I think specifically tooth tree was the one that was said. I think.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I remembered to write it down like I think in the next segment, so I might have misremembered it. So tooth tree has 2 votes. That's the only one that I brought. Ben, what do you have?
I have 2 weird titles.
Okay.
One is Too Much Vitriol, and the other was It's All Horrible.
I like that too, actually. I like that.
I like It's All Horrible too.
These are like Where's Waldo titles.
Though, I think I said it, but it was funny now that I'm listening to it.
Yeah, I like It's All Horrible.
That works with the tooth tree as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that was quick.